The ring felt heavier than usual as I twisted it around my finger, watching Emma pack her things into cardboard boxes that somehow made our shared apartment feel like a crime scene. 3 years of memories folded neatly into brown containers, each item a small betrayal of the life we'd built together. "This isn't working, David," she said without looking up from the photo albums she was sorting. Her voice carried that practiced steadiness I'd come to recognize over the past month, the tone of someone who'd rehearsed this conversation in mirrors and empty rooms. "We both know it." I wanted to argue, to fight for us the way protagonists do in movies, but the words felt trapped behind the growing knot in my throat. The morning light streaming through her kitchen window cast everything in an amber hue that made this moment feel like a memory, even as it was happening. "The engagement was a mistake," Emma continued, her delicate fingers wrapping tape around a box labeled books, Emma's. "We rushed into it. We were different people then. Different people." As if the David who proposed on that rain-soaked beach in Oregon was some stranger wearing my face. As if the Emma who said yes, tears mixing with raindrops, had been replaced by this methodical woman dismantling our future with surgical precision. I watched her move through our space, past the couch where we'd spent countless Sunday mornings, around the kitchen island where she'd taught me to make her grandmother's apple pie, toward the bedroom where we'd whispered dreams about children's names and vacation destinations. Each step felt deliberate, final. "I've already talked to a lawyer," she said, and the casual way she mentioned it hit me like a physical blow. "Since we're not married yet, it's just a matter of separating our finances and belongings." "Emma, please." The words escaped before I could stop them. Can we talk about this? Really talk?" She paused at the doorway, her silhouette framed by the hallway light. For a moment, I saw a flicker of the woman who used to laugh at my terrible jokes, who cried during commercials about rescue dogs, who traced patterns on my chest while she planned our imaginary future. "There's nothing left to say, David. I'm sorry." She shouldered her purse and picked up the first box, balancing it against her hip in that efficient way she did everything. As she moved toward the door, I felt our entire relationship condensing into this single moment. All our inside jokes, shared silences, and midnight conversations reduced to the sound of her footsteps on hardwood. The door opened, letting in the October chill and the distant sound of traffic. Emma stepped into the hallway, then turned back one last time. "I'll come back for the rest tomorrow," she said. And then, so quietly I almost missed it, she whispered a single word: "Fake." The door closed with a soft click that echoed through the empty apartment like a gunshot. I stood frozen, my mind replaying that whispered word over and over. Fake. What was fake? Our relationship? Her feelings? The divorce itself? Outside, I heard her car engine start and fade into the distance, leaving me alone with boxes, questions, and the growing certainty that nothing about this moment was what it seemed. The word haunted me for 3 sleepless nights. Fake. It echoed through the empty apartment, bouncing off walls that still smelled like Emma's lavender shampoo. I'd replayed the scene dozens of times, analyzing her body language, the catch in her voice, the way her eyes avoided mine when she said goodbye. On Thursday morning, desperation finally overrode my pride. I called Emma's sister, Sarah. "David." Sarah's voice carried surprise and something else. Was it relief? "I was wondering when you'd reach out. I need to understand what happened," I said, pacing the length of our living room. "Emma just left. She said our engagement was a mistake, but something doesn't feel right." There was a long pause. Through the phone, I could hear Sarah's baby crying in the background, the mundane sounds of a life continuing normally while mine had ground to a halt. "Meet me at Cafe Luna in an hour," she finally said. "And David, bring your phone." The cafe buzzed with the usual crowd of remote workers and college students, but Sarah had chosen a corner table away from the noise. She looked tired, her usually perfect makeup absent, dark circles shadowing her eyes. "Emma made me promise not to interfere," she began, stirring sugar into her coffee with mechanical precision. "But I can't watch this happen anymore." "Watch what happened?" Sarah reached into her purse and pulled out a manila envelope. "Emma's been getting these for 2 months. At first, she thought they were pranks. Inside were photographs, dozens of them. Pictures of me at the grocery store, walking to work, meeting clients at restaurants. In every image, I was with different women, colleagues, friends, strangers I'd helped with directions or shared elevators with. But the angles were deceptive, intimate. A hand on a shoulder during a business handshake looked like a caress. A laugh shared with the barista appeared flirtatious. There were notes too, Sarah continued, her voice barely above a whisper. Detailed accounts of supposed affairs. Hotel receipts with your name on them. Fake ones, but Emma didn't know that. Phone records of calls you never made. My hands shook as I flipped through the evidence of a relationship that existed only in someone's twisted imagination. Who would do this? We figured it out yesterday. Sarah's voice turned bitter. Marcus Webb. Remember him? Emma's ex from college. The name hit me like ice water. Marcus, the guy who'd shown up drunk at our engagement party, claiming Emma was making a mistake. Security had escorted him out, but not before he'd screamed about how I'd stolen her from him. He's been systematically destroying your relationship, Sarah explained. Creating fake evidence, hiring someone to follow you and photograph innocent interactions out of context. Emma believed it because it was so detailed, so convincing. I thought about Emma's gradual withdrawal over the past 2 months. Her sudden reluctance to make wedding plans, her suspicious questions about my whereabouts, the way she'd started checking my phone when she thought I wasn't looking. Why didn't she confront me? She was going to. But Marcus convinced her you'd just lie. That cheaters always do. He told her the only way to preserve her dignity was to end things cleanly, without a messy confrontation. So she staged the divorce conversation. She practiced it for weeks, Sarah said, tears beginning to fall. She didn't want to divorce you, David. She wanted to save what was left of her heart before you destroyed it completely. The coffee shop suddenly felt suffocating. I understood now why Emma had whispered fake. She'd been trying to tell me the truth even as she acted out Marcus's cruel script. Where is she now? Marcus convinced her to go away for a while. To heal from the betrayal. She's staying at some cabin upstate, completely cut off from everyone who might tell her the truth. I was already standing, adrenaline replacing the numbness I'd carried for days. I need that address. The cabin sat nestled among towering pines, smoke curling from its chimney into the crisp mountain air. Emma's car was parked beside a rental SUV that I didn't recognize. My heart hammered against my ribs as I walked up the gravel path, the manila envelope of evidence clutched in my sweaty palm. Through the window, I could see Emma sitting by the fireplace, but she wasn't alone. Marcus Webb leaned against the mantel, his familiar silhouette making my jaw clench. Even from outside, I could read his body language, the possessive way he hovered near her, the calculated intimacy of someone playing a long game. I knocked, and the sound seemed to shatter the peaceful mountain silence. Emma answered the door, her face cycling through surprise, confusion, and something that might have been hope before settling into guarded neutrality. David, how did you find me? Sarah gave me the address. I held up the envelope. We need to talk. Marcus appeared behind her, his hand settling on her shoulder with practiced familiarity. Emma doesn't want to see you. She's trying to move forward. Let her speak for herself, I said, meeting Emma's eyes. Please, just give me 5 minutes to show you something. Emma looked between us, uncertainty flickering across her features. The woman who'd methodically packed her life away had been replaced by someone who looked fragile, lost. 5 minutes, she said, stepping aside. The cabin's interior was cozy and warm, but tension filled the air like smoke. I spread the photographs across the coffee table, watching Emma's face as recognition dawned. These are the photos you received, I said. But look at this one. I pointed to a picture of me supposedly embracing another woman outside a hotel. This is my sister Julie. She was in town for her job interview. The timestamp shows it was taken the same day. She called you from my phone to thank you for recommending that restaurant. Emma picked up the photograph, her hands trembling slightly. And this one, I continued, pulling out another image. That's my colleague Maria. We were celebrating her promotion. But see how the angle makes it look like we're alone? There were 12 people at that table. Marcus cropped them out. That's ridiculous, Marcus interjected, but his voice carried a nervous edge. Emma, don't let him manipulate you with. Shut up, Emma said quietly, her eyes still fixed on the photos. Just shut up for a minute. I pulled out Sarah's phone and showed Emma the screenshot of Marcus's social media posts, deleted now, but cached by Sarah weeks earlier. Posts about winning back what's mine and showing Emma the truth about her so-called fiancé. He's been orchestrating this for months, I said. The fake hotel receipts, the staged photographs, even timing his comfort to coincide with your emotional breakdown. Emma's face had gone pale. She looked at Marcus with dawning horror. Is this true? Emma, baby, he's desperate. He'll say anything. Don't call me baby. Her voice cut like ice. Did you fake these photos? The silence stretched between us. Marcus's carefully constructed facade was crumbling, revealing the obsessive, controlling man underneath. I love you, he finally said, his voice breaking. I've always loved you. I couldn't stand watching you marry someone who doesn't deserve you. So you destroyed my relationship? You made me believe the man I love was cheating on me. Emma stood, anger radiating from her small frame. You manipulated me into throwing away the best thing in my life. He never loved you like I do. Get out. Emma's voice was deadly calm. Get out right now before I call the police. Marcus looked between us, his fantasy finally shattering. He grabbed his jacket and stormed toward the door, pausing only to spit out. You'll regret this, Emma. When he breaks your heart for Real, don't come crying to me. The door slammed behind him, leaving us alone with the weight of everything that had been broken and the fragile possibility of what might be rebuilt. Emma collapsed onto the couch, tears streaming down her face. David, I'm so sorry. I believed him. I actually believed you would do that to me. I sat beside her, careful not to assume forgiveness I hadn't earned yet. He was convincing. The evidence was thorough. But I should have trusted you. I should have talked to you instead of just leaving. You tried to tell me, I said, thinking of that whispered word. When you said fake as you left, part of you knew. She looked up at me, her eyes red but hopeful. Can we fix this? Is there anything left to fix? I reached for her hand, and when she didn't pull away, I felt something tight in my chest finally loosen. We have a lot to talk about, I said. Trust to rebuild, wounds to heal. But Emma, if you're willing to try, then yes. I think we can fix this. She leaned into me then, her head finding its familiar place on my shoulder, and for the first time in months, the future felt possible again. Outside, the mountain wind whispered through the pines, carrying away the last echoes of Marcus's lies and leaving room for something real to grow in their place. I love you, Emma whispered against my neck. The real you, not the version he tried to create. I love you too, I replied, and for the first time since this nightmare began, the words felt true and unbroken. In the firelight, surrounded by the evidence of betrayal that had nearly destroyed us, we began the slow work of rebuilding what had been torn apart. It wouldn't be easy, but it would be real. And sometimes, real is all you need. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel and enjoy these other amazing stories.